My parents gave me a life they would never have packed with dreams, hopes, and a few containers of biryani that never survived the flight. It's the classic immigrant story: parents sacrifice everything for a future they can only imagine. I was their lottery ticket, their winning number, the investment they hoped would pay off. But being the ticket means carrying the weight of the jackpot. Every choice felt monumental, every failure a waste of their sacrifice. I was caught between two worlds, too American for my family, too foreign for America. Living in the hyphen of Indian American, I tried to hold two massive ideas together. My parents saw America as a finish line for me. It was the starting line of a race I didn't know how to run. They handed me a map for a country that only existed in their minds, a land of picket fences and predictable rewards. My reality was late-night ramen, student loans, and explaining unpaid internships to my dad, who thought it was just a new kind of American slavery. Sacrifice was our shared language, but we spoke different dialects. For them, it meant leaving home. For me, it meant trying to build one. They wanted me to have freedom within a pre-approved framework. You can be anything you want, as long as it's one of these three things. The pressure was a constant hum, a reminder that my choices were never just my own. I lived with the ghosts of their sacrifices, always watching, always weighing in. That's the real weight of a one-way ticket. Landing at JFK, the air smelled like freedom and Cinnabon. My parents painted America as the promised land, where dreams came true and hard work always paid off. I stepped off the plane ready to conquer this new world, determined to make their sacrifices worth it. But America is a funny place. It greets you with a statue and then hits you with the subway. The Golden Door was really a glass wall. I could see belonging but couldn't get in. Everything was a puzzle: small talk, smiling strangers, kale in everything. The loneliness was a heavy blanket. Back home, I was never alone, but here, the silence was deafening. I tried to fit in, bought the right clothes, drank the coffee, played the part. But it was all performance, and I was terrified of forgetting my lines. My parents called, their voices full of hope, asking if I was making friends, eating well, studying hard. I lied. I told them everything was great. I couldn't admit I ate alone, felt lost, and missed the noise of home. Admitting my loneliness felt like betraying their sacrifice. So I painted a picture for them, just as they had for me. We became artists, creating beautiful fictions for each other across an ocean. The truth was, I was still searching for the door, and I wasn't sure it even existed. But I kept looking. My parents' American dream was a prepackaged kit STEM degree, stable job, house in the suburbs. They wanted security, not passion projects. Their dream was a ladder, safe, predictable, already set up for me. But I wanted a jungle gym, not a ladder. I wanted to explore, to fail, to figure out who I was. I was drawn to comedy and storytelling, concepts my dad couldn't understand. Comedy, is there a pension plan in comedy? He'd ask. Every choice that strayed from their plan felt like rebellion. Their love was tangled with their dreams for me, and I couldn't separate the two. The American dream, I realized, didn't come with instructions. It was a DIY project, and I was still searching for the missing parts. Our phone calls became a dance around the truth. We talked about the weather, my health, what I ate, never the things that mattered. The silence between us grew louder with every call. They didn't ask about my creative pursuits. I didn't mention my doubts or loneliness. We let the silence fill the space between continents, a loving disconnect. My life became a story I couldn't tell them. How could I explain the thrill and terror of stand-up comedy to my mom, who just wanted to know if I was eating enough vegetables? Our shared vocabulary was shrinking, but the love was always there. In my mother's reminders to eat, in my father's questions about money. Their concern was their love language, practical and protective. I was learning a new language, one of passion and purpose. Our calls ended with "I love you," but the silence after felt vast. We loved each other across a growing chasm. The turning point wasn't dramatic, it was a quiet Tuesday night. I called home, ready to recite the usual script, but this time my mother heard the exhaustion in my voice. "Beta, you sound sad. Tell me what is wrong." For the first time, I did. I told her I was lonely, scared, and felt like I was failing them. I braced for disappointment, but instead she told me her own story. She spoke of her first year in America, crying in the bathroom, missing home, feeling invisible. She was describing my life. In that moment, she wasn't just my mother, she was a person who had been just as lost as I was. She said, "We never wanted you to have an easy life. We wanted you to have a life you chose. We just don't know this life. So we ask if you've eaten because that's how we know how to love you from so far away." The dam broke, we both cried. It wasn't about success or failure anymore, it was about being human. That conversation cracked the wall between us. For the first time we saw each other clearly, and it changed everything. That conversation didn't solve everything, but it shifted the ground beneath us. I realized my mother and I weren't on opposite sides, we were reflections, separated by time and circumstance. Her journey of immigration and my journey of assimilation were verses of the same song. Her sacrifice wasn't a debt, but a gift. The gift of choice. She didn't need me to be a doctor. She just needed to know I was okay. Her questions about food and sleep were her way of measuring my well-being from afar. Understanding doesn't require agreement. My parents may never fully grasp my world, and that's okay. I don't need their approval for every choice, just their willingness to listen. And I need to listen too, to hear the love and fear behind their questions. Love isn't about perfect understanding, it's about showing up, being vulnerable, and translating "did you eat" into "I love you." We were learning a new language together, one of emotional honesty, and it was bridging the gap between their world and mine. After that call, our conversations changed. I started sharing my real victories and struggles, not just the highlight reel. In return, they shared their own worries and memories of starting over. We became two generations of immigrants comparing notes. My job wasn't to make them understand my world completely, it was to build a bridge to it. I sent them clips of my performances. My dad's first comment, "Your shirt is wrinkled." Classic. But slowly, things shifted. My mom called, "Your cousin in Toronto saw your video, he said you were funny, the Tupperware joke was good." She was connecting my world to hers. Building that bridge was a two-way street. I started asking about their lives before America, their dreams when they were my age. Their obsession with stability wasn't a criticism, it was armor from their own history. This process wasn't easy, there were still misunderstandings, but we weren't shouting across a chasm anymore. We were meeting in the middle, plank by plank, conversation by conversation. The goal wasn't perfect understanding, it was connection. For a long time I thought I had to choose obedient son or rebellious artist, but the point was never to choose, it was to integrate. To build a home with room for both my parents' past and my future. My life may never look like they imagined, but it's authentically mine, built on their foundation. Our relationship is deeper and more honest than ever. We love each other not in spite of our differences, but through them. Our love is the bridge connecting their world to mine. Belonging isn't about fitting a mold, it's about finding people who love you as you build your own. My parents may never fully understand my life in America, and that's okay. They just have to love me, and I have to love them. That love is strong enough to hold two worlds together. In the end, they didn't just give me a one-way ticket, they gave me a round-trip ticket to understanding myself. The journey has been confusing and lonely and beautiful. I found my way not by abandoning their world, but by finding its reflection in mine. And now, when my mom calls and asks, "So did you tell any good jokes last night?" I know I'm home.